Hey y'all, No here. Well, after 3 years of traveling in the van, I've decided that it's finally time for me and the No Mobile to retire. It's been a great journey. I've enjoyed every bit of it, but it's just the right time to start finding a new home, a new owner for the No Mobile. So thank all of you who have been with me from the beginning. Those of you who were with me from the beginning know that initially I produced a two-part video showing how I built the No Mobile. But when I put the subscribe sign on the van, I thought it was probably a good idea to delete those videos because it probably wasn't a good idea to be showing the world that might subscribe to my channel what was inside the van. But now that I'm going to sell the van, I feel like it's a good time to go back, show you how I built the No Mobile in the first place, and then show you all the tricks and things that I've learned, shortcuts, ways to make van life easier during these 3 years that I've been traveling. So with that said, I'm going to try to go through the steps pretty much in order that I did them. The first thing that I did to the No Mobile was to put this sign on the back of it. And those of you who know me know that this was the whole reason for building the van in the first place. I felt like God was calling me to make a trip to Alaska and to spread the gospel as I went, to help people see the signs of the times, to maybe help them understand that the days are probably growing shorter. They're shorter than they've ever been. So it took me 3 years to get to Alaska because I had a lot to learn. I thought that I could take my time going to Alaska and see the sights on the way. In the third year, I finally learned that if you're going to Alaska, you just got to go there and ignore everything along the way, or else you may never get there. So with that said and done, let's get into the steps that I went through when I built the van initially. So the first step in building your van is going to be to decide what kind of van you want. And there's 3 different versions of this type of van. Ford makes one, Nissan makes one, and then Ram makes one. And when I first saw this van in the back doors, I really didn't like it because you can see this door is wider than this door. And that just really bugged me at first because it just looked weird. It looked unsymmetrical. But after I actually bought the van, I started to really appreciate the thinking that went into making this door wider than this door. And so I'll show you why. If you've got something big that needs to go into your van, or if you're just trying to get in this back door yourself, okay, if both doors were the same width, then the edge of this door would be way over here, making a much narrower space for you to get in and out of. The other thing that worked out just right for me too was that this kitchen counter here, what I'm calling a kitchen counter, where I've got my sink and my kitchen workspace, this ended up being just about the same depth as this door is, so that when you close the door, then you're using the same space here but not using this space here. So once you decide what van you want, and for me it was the 2019 ProMaster City van, like any building that you're going to build, your van's the same way. So what do you start with when you're building the building? The foundation. And so a lot of people put a piece of big thick plywood in the floor of their van. To me, that was just something else to catch on fire if there was a fire. Also, a pretty expensive thing to buy too. So I decided instead, I got some of this like exercise equipment mat. This is actually, I think, made out of rubber from recycled tires. And you can see I didn't glue it down or anything. It's just sitting on top of the van floor. And there's another little addition I made right there for a little storage compartment. But it was precisely the right size and shape that I needed. It is 6 feet long, 4 feet wide. And that's precisely the dimensions, 4 feet between the two wheel wells, and 6 feet from this rear door closure up there to the front was precisely the size I needed. What I found after I actually got it installed was that the fact that this floor is kind of rubbery and you know, it doesn't really let you roll around too easily was an advantage, because I'm going to show you the centerpiece of the whole van next, and you'll see why not having a good, smooth, hard surface work better in this van. Now, I forgot to mention, this rubber mat is 3/4 of an inch thick. Now, this is the thing that makes the whole van work, and it's just an office chair. Okay, and this particular office chair will adjust down so that my head doesn't hit the top of the van whenever I'm moving around. I watched a lot of videos when I was thinking about how I wanted to build this van, and I've not seen anybody on YouTube that has ever built a van the way I built this one, using this chair. They tend to always use some type of folding down bed or something like that, and that's the thing about using this rubber mat. Because the wheels of this chair sink into the rubber a little bit, you know, if I'm not parked on a level surface, you know, if the van is parked downhill this direction, then this chair, if it was a plywood floor, this chair, I would constantly be fighting to keep the chair from rolling downhill. But because the wheels sink up into the rubber, they don't roll as easily, and so if it's on a little incline, I'm not fighting to keep the chair from rolling downhill all the time. So I didn't really plan it out that way, but God planned it out that way, and it was just right for what I was going to do, and it was just right for this chair. And you can see I can swivel around, I can get to things pretty easily. Even getting out of the van is not a hassle. So once I decided on the floor, the next most important thing in my way of thinking was water. And I looked at a lot of different options. There was possibility of mounting a water tank underneath the van, but that was going to be a lot of expense and would expose the water tank to, rocks flying up and hitting it or knocking a hole in it, freezing, if it got below freezing at night. So after a lot of thought and especially a lot of prayer, what I came up with was this 5-gallon water jug. And it's just a jug that you would, turn upside down to put in a water cooler. It holds 5 gallons. The one thing that I might do differently today, if I had it to do over, this is a round water jug. You can also get square water jugs, which utilizes the space a little bit better than this round water jug. The thing is, the square water jug is a few inches taller than this. So if you use the square one, then this counter is going to be higher in order to give you room to put this sink here. Now, I built a really strong cabinet for this water jug to go in, because cubic inch for cubic inch, water is going to be probably the heaviest thing that you're going to have in your van, with the possible exception of your refrigerator, depending on what kind of refrigerator you get. So I built this really strong. It is mounted to the floor of the van. It's mounted to the wheel well. It's made out of 1/2-inch fiberboard. I've got 2x2s on the corners. And also I've got a chain here that keeps it from coming out this way. Because the last thing you want is for this water jug to turn over and spill. It will make a horrific mess. So you want to make absolutely sure that this water jug is absolutely positively secure, and even if you turn your van upside down, it's not going anywhere. So once you decide on how you're going to carry your water, how much water you think you need, then you need a way to use the water. And for me, it's just a small sink, not a full kitchen sink by any means. A lot of times they'll use sinks like this in like a bar or something like that. And it's just got a little faucet up here with a handle that turns off and on. A lot of people like the electric pumps to pump their water with, but I didn't think that was really a good idea to be mixing water with electricity. And for the amount of time that you're going to be using an electric pump to pump water, it's never going to be more than a few seconds at a time. So I went with, instead of an electric pump, I've got this foot pump here. And so all you got to do is just pump it like that. Have how much water you need. It's not that hard. It's a lot less expensive. It's a lot simpler. There's nothing electrical to go wrong. It's just a lot less things that can go wrong with this foot pump that could go wrong with an electric pump. Now, to save some space, I found a cutting board that fits right on top of this, so this makes a little bit extra workspace whenever I'm not using the sink, to keep it from coming out of the recess. I just took some Mountain Dew bottle caps and put them at just the right space so that as I'm traveling along down the road, it'll keep this from sliding out. So that is how I managed the water coming in. Next, I'm going to show you how I managed the water, the wastewater that I don't use. So to take care of the water that comes down the drain, which comes down this pipe here, goes into this little jug here, and not the only thing I use water in the sink for is occasionally taking a sink bath. I don't even use it much for washing dishes. I'll show you a trick on how you can really save on water when you wash your dishes. So anyway, we just disconnect right here, and then this lifts up and out. And so to empty it, just got a little trigger right here. Push down, just hold it down till it empties out. And then obviously, once you get it empty, just put it back in the way it came out. The thing that I did next, but I wish that I hadn't, was to build in these kitchen counters. But the thing I should have done next was to insulate the van. And like most people, you think that you're going to travel during weather that's not too hot and not too cold, but altitude is a great equalizer. Okay, so the way I ended up insulating the van, if I'd done it in the beginning instead of waiting till a year later, it would have been a lot easier to do. But it still wasn't too bad. And there's a big debate on whether you want to put a moisture barrier between the walls of your van to insulate it and keep moisture out. I chose to not use a moisture barrier. And just to give you a little example of how I actually insulated the van, I just went through the walls, and anywhere I found a hole like this or like this, I just shoved fiberglass insulation in there, even the small holes like that, and just kept going and kept going, until I couldn't put any more. Obviously, I missed a little space right there. I could have put some there. Maybe I did put some and it fell down. But doing it that way, and of course I did the same thing on this side, like that, and even on these door panels, I pull the panel out and tried to push fiberglass insulation up in there. Obviously fiberglass has fibers, but I've not had any problem with, breathing in fiberglass fibers, anything like that. On the upper part of the van, okay, I've got 2 inches, I believe it's 2 inches of foam insulation in these window panels, and then covered it up with Reflectix, taped it in. It's not pretty, but it does the job. Did the same thing for these side windows. Just cut the foam board out to fit these window panels. Same thing in the ceiling. Oops, got you upside down there. This may be a little bit hard for us to see, but also in between these LED lights, which came with the van, by the way. That's another reason for getting a 2019 ProMaster. But anyway, I cut strips of foam insulation, glued them in, and then covered them with Reflectix. Same way up here. I just stuffed fiberglass into the holes. And it's done a pretty good job for me. I could definitely tell a difference in cold weather after I insulated it. So I also got 2 inches of foam covered up with a flat Reflectix here. Now I wasn't able to insulate this fan opening with any foam board or anything like that. But I did come up with something that helped a little bit more. Yeah, that's the way it goes. It's been a while since I've used it. Yeah, so it's going to go like that. Door closes. And it gives you a little bit of a extra seal where this window opening is. The magnets hold it up there until you can get the door closed on it. So that's the way that I did the insulation on the van. And I wish that I had done it in the beginning, because quite a bit harder to try to work around all this stuff that was already installed there. Especially, all these shoe tree hangers here that you store stuff in. Had to take those completely off. Same way in the kitchen, the shoe holders that I use to store stuff. Had to take that out of the way. But anyway, the way that I actually did mount my kitchen counters was pretty simple, actually. So what I did was I just took a piece of 1x2, put it there, a piece of 1x2 up here at the top, right here. Lower you down a little bit more so you can see that better. So yeah, underneath here. And then you can see I just took some big shelf brackets here and here. And then, hope that doesn't make you too dizzy. Same thing up on this end. Just got a shelf bracket here. Mounts to a piece of 1x2 down here, up here, and then obviously the counter itself mounts to the top of the shelf bracket. Very easy, very simple, and again, this is my kitchen counter is really just an old entertainment system. Remember back when we didn't have flat screen TVs? Well, this is part of an entertainment system that I wasn't using anymore, so I just tore it apart and used the lumber out of it. After a while, I found that this space here wasn't a whole lot of space, so God gave me the idea to make this drop leaf table that works like that. And so all it is some PVC pipe and some PVC pipe hangers. And so this slides back and forth. Gives you just a little bit more. This is usually the area that I eat off of, and the area back there is usually the area that I cook off of. So, a little bit extra space, and it all folds up, and really doesn't take much extra space here either. It's well worth doing to give you the extra counter space. So that's how I install the kitchen. Obviously, you know, all of these shoe holders, that's pretty much the way I handled the cabinet space. They work really well. They don't last forever. Obviously, they're not as strong as like building a wooden cabinet, but they're transparent. You can see what's there. You don't have any trouble of anything falling out of those or turning over or spilling like you would in a wooden cabinet. And the thing is, they mount pretty easily too. So all you have to do is just, you know, screw them into the top of the van to secure them. All right, and I guess while we're here, might as well cover this guy right here. Initially, I thought that I would be able to power all my electrical stuff with this Rockpal's power supply, and it does have a pretty good capacity. But once I got into it, I saw that this just, you know, I couldn't power a refrigerator using one of these or anything like that. So mainly what I use this guy for is for charging phones and tablets, for, you know, charging my electric razor, electric toothbrush, and things like that. And it's got an AC plug here that you can plug things into that run off 110 volts. I tried as much as I could. The only thing in this fan that's not 12 volt is my electric razor, electric toothbrush, and laptop computer. It's the only things that run off of 110. It's got lots of you know, plugs here that you can plug different things into, and this is the plug that you plug into your main battery, and you can, what I've got is, I just use a cigarette lighter plug to plug into cigarette lighter outlet up there in the front cab, and then this end here just plugs in there. And what I'll normally do is when it gets below 50%, I'll just plug it in for a few hours, let it charge back up. Whoops, sorry to blind you like that. And so just like the water jug, this is something also that needs to be pretty well secured. And what I did was, again, just used a shelf bracket here and underneath here. This is actually made out of some sheet metal. I think it's a 1/16 inch thick. So you want this really strong. You could even chain it down if you thought you needed to. It's never jumped out of this enclosure I made for it ever. About the only way I think it could actually get out of here is if you actually roll the van over. And obviously this falling out wouldn't be your biggest worry if you roll the van over. Now for additional storage, if you're a hiker or a backpacker, so I just put a piece of 2x2 across the top there and just put different hooks and things like that to hang things from. So just to finish up the kitchen portion of the van build, a couple more things. First is a trash can. This one works really well because it has a lid on it. It closes pretty tightly, keeps odors out of your nose and in the trash can pretty well. You can take a regular Walmart bag or something like that to line it with, and it fits well because this will snap over the top of your liner and again hold the odors in. I built a little basket to hold it just out of some rabbit wire. Just put a couple of shelf brackets on here that are much bigger than I needed, but it's what I had on hand. Made a little shelf right here to mount it on. Actually did have to cut a little notch out of the top of my kitchen counter so the door would close, but it worked out okay. So this fits in like that. Door closes and then opens up and down like that. This guy was an add-on. What I find is I use quite a few paper towels, so I have this main paper towel holder up here that I made myself, by the way. All you do is screw a couple of screw hooks in here and here. Take a piece of dowel rod, goes in the middle, and then these screw hooks are just the right size for your dowel rod to snap into. And then this guy here is just an extra roll. I tried to find a place to put an extra roll of paper towels. That sounds crazy, but when you have to be in a small space like this, you have to be as efficient as you possibly can. So I found the easiest way is just to hang a string from here, put a piece of material for the bottom of the string to tie into, and to put it on and off, you just go in like that, put it like that, and then it hangs there pretty much out of the way all the time. This is something, if you drive on the Dempster or Dalton Highway, you're going to want one of these for sure. It gets very dusty, and for that matter, you know, just to keep the floor nice and clean. So it just snaps together like that. Made a little hook on the bottom, so it hangs nicely right there. The next thing I'm going to show you is the stove. Okay, so it's just a single burner 12,000 watt butane stove. This one has performed great for me. It really puts out a lot of heat. It doesn't use a lot of butane. So it uses these little butane canisters like this. This one has lasted me 2 weeks. It's almost empty now, but if you don't turn the heat up, the flame up too high, you'll find that you get a lot of hours or maybe minutes of cooking time off of these butane canisters. So that goes like that. Then when I'm traveling or when I'm not using the stove, then I just store it like this when I'm driving, and you know, put some other things around it so it won't turn over or fly across the van or anything. Make sure you don't leave your water turned on like this, or else you'll get some leakage onto there. Now I was going to tell you how you can save some water washing dishes. I use this Dawn Power Wash and almost never use any water to wash my dishes with. You know, just squirt this on the dish and take a paper towel and wipe it clean. Take another paper towel and dry it. And I don't use any water to rinse the dishes off at all, and it hasn't caused any ill health effects or anything like that for me. So that's the Dawn Power Wash. It'll save you a bunch of water using that. It's the easiest thing that I've found to wash dishes with. Okay, what have I not covered in the kitchen area? I think, where I store my pots and pans, which is, and my food, at least part of my food. So these top two drawers are for clothes. This drawer is for pots, pans, frying pan, utensils. And then I've got this drawer for food storage and this drawer for food storage. So all this really is just some stackable bins from Walmart, and normally you'll find them in sets of 3 drawers. So, but what I found was you can snap the top off of one of those sets of 3 drawers, and you can buy them in sets of 3. And so what you do is, like, if there was a top on the drawer right here, you just snap it off and take the wheels off of the bottom of the other 3, and you can snap them together to make a big tall cabinet as opposed to 2 short ones. So in this bottom drawer, what I have is all the tools, all the hand tools at least, that I used to build the van with. I made some partitions to, like, I've got a wrench and screwdriver and socket set section. I've got a middle section that's got all of my electrical tools and supplies and, voltmeter and stuff like that. In this one, I've got mostly like different types of tapes, spare parts, tape measure. You choose how you want to organize it, but try to put something in there to keep things separated. Probably noticed my fancy drawer closures here. I looked and looked for latches and things like that to try to keep the doors from coming open while you're driving. This is the simplest thing I came up with, and it's worked really well. So I've still got a little bit of food from my last trip, so mostly what I put in this bottom drawer is things for the evening meals. Normally I have a jar of peanut butter and jelly here, and canned ham and canned chicken, pinto beans. I use a lot of rice in my recipes that I make. In this drawer, which is almost empty now, I'll keep like some olive oil. I use red wine vinegar for salad dressing, things like that. Use a lot of tortilla. If I've got a loaf of bread, it'll be up here. And then in this drawer, so normally there'll be a frying pan under there, saucepan there. I've kind of got it taken apart since I am at home. I'm using the pots and pans. Here I'll keep like spoons and knives and forks and different spatulas and things like that. And then back here in this very back section, I got room for 4 extra canisters of butane. I've never run out of butane, but you never know. It's better to have too much than not enough. And honestly, you can store 4 cans in the same amount of drawer space that it takes for 2. This drawer here, I kind of separate my clothes into waist up and waist down. So I've got arranged from left to right: long pants, short pants, socks and underwear, long shirts, long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, and like gloves, hat, things like that up here. The refrigerator I chose was an IceCo 60-liter refrigerator. It's a 12-volt powered refrigerator. It was the largest size that they had, and my thinking was that it's better to have too much space in your refrigerator than not enough. So give you a look inside. And what I usually try to do is to purchase 2 weeks worth of groceries at one time. It's better to have too much food than to run out of food. And of course, you'll have to figure out what you like to eat and what recipes you like. I'm probably going to make a separate video about cooking in a van separately. But this refrigerator actually comes with 2 baskets, and it has a main basket that kind of drops down inside here. What I found was it just kind of takes up space and really doesn't serve much of a purpose, so I took it out. But this other basket right here is very useful. And when you're traveling in a van, getting enough protein is always a problem. So what I usually try to do, I use a lot of cheese, and these packages of cheese fit pretty well. You know, this little basket is just about the right size to put them in. Also, you know, if you buy bacon, try to get the pre-cooked kind. Got some cheese slices right here. You can see they fit in there pretty well. If you buy shredded cheese, you can get 2 different types of shredded cheese. Not 2 different flavors, but 2 different types. And what I found is if you can get the finely shredded cheese as opposed to this coarse type, it actually, you get the same weight of cheese, but because it's finely shredded, it takes up less space. The other thing you want to do when you buy some cheese is immediately cut off the top, squeeze out all the air, because when you buy it, it's going to have some air inside the package. Squeeze out the air so it will take as little space as possible, and then zip it back up, drop it back in there. I use eggs a lot. I make breakfast burritos for my breakfast. And recently, I made the decision to go ahead and get 2 of these egg carriers. You're really going to need those, because without them, your eggs are going to get broken pretty easily. So if you're going to buy provisions for 2 weeks, go ahead and get 2 of these. And they do a really good job of protecting your eggs. The first thing I did whenever I bought mine is to cut the handles off, because these handles just take up extra room, and that's room you need to store your food. I try to eat a lot of fresh vegetables, and so I make a 3-part salad every night to begin a meal, and it's made up of carrots. If I can get them in focus there. Yeah, carrots, which fit pretty well vertically in the refrigerator. And then also use this pre-cut broccoli. But I always take it out of the package that it comes in, because the package is going to have air in it. And if you use these big, I think this is 1.5 gallon size Ziploc bag, then you can squeeze all the air out, but you can also leave it vented a little bit. You can not zip it all the way up, and this will help you to keep from getting condensation inside the bag. Cauliflower I do a little bit different way. I actually don't buy the pre-cut because it's a lot more expensive, but you can easily cut up a head of cauliflower as soon as you get it, put it in the 1.5 gallon Ziploc bag, and it'll take up less space than a round head of broccoli. All right, and with everything out of the refrigerator, you can see pretty deep. You know, it's about 18 inches deep down in there. This refrigerator, I don't get very much condensation in it unless I leave it open for a long time. So let me get this closed back up so I can keep my vegetables fresh. All right, I'll organize that back later on. Okay, and a couple of little tricks that I've learned on the road. Never had to use it, but it's there if I needed to, is just got this right here. Just took this magnet, came with a hook on it, but I put this screw on it in the place, and so just stick that on to the refrigerator, holds good and solid, and then that's where I hang my bear spray, because we live in a dangerous world. Now, the only thing I have turned on in the van right now is the refrigerator. There's no lights on or anything else, and you can see with the compressor running on the refrigerator, it's only pulling 13 watts. To secure the refrigerator to the van itself, it's sitting on a platform here, and so I'm going to go around to the other side so you can see how I actually secured it to the frame of the van. Okay, so I actually just built a platform out of 3/4 inch plywood, and I kind of put these guardrails around the periphery of the refrigerator. So I've got these 2x2s that are screwed into the 3/4 inch plywood around the exterior of it. And so the platform is bolted using the same bolts that the seat, the passenger side seat, was originally bolted to the frame with. Then for extra security, okay, so I took these chains, and so I've got a chain here and secured with a with a bolt and a screw. And so this chain goes down underneath the frame, or underneath the platform, that is, and then comes back around to the other side. Okay, so this chain here is going all the way underneath the platform, comes out on the opposite side, comes back up to the handle again, screws in. Okay, and so that's just a backup, you know, in case the van turns over. In case the van turns over, the refrigerator won't come open and it won't fall on top of you. And that's very important. You hope that nothing like that will ever happen, but it can. Okay, so just to review a little bit, you can't really see it with the other handle, but you get the idea. So this chain comes up, or actually, better way to put it is it goes around the handle, comes down, goes underneath the platform, and then comes back out from underneath that platform here, comes back up, and it wraps around the handle from the opposite side. And obviously, same thing was done for the other handle. Now, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and cover the battery compartment too. Okay, so I've got two Renogy 100 amp hour lithium ion batteries wired in parallel. And the reason I chose this particular space was because this is going to be the coolest place for the batteries to be placed. They are temperature protected, so if they get too cold or too hot, they're going to turn themselves off to protect themselves. But I figured this was a good way to both be able to keep them warm if I needed to, because I could turn the heater on and warm the batteries up if it got really cold. And this is going to be the coolest spot in the van to keep them from overheating. And we'll cover more about them in the electrical system a bit later on. The refrigerator itself is wired directly into the fuse box. And there's a reason why this platform is sitting on top of these batteries, except they just put it on backwards, I believe, because in keeping with trying to use every cubic inch of space in the van that you have efficiently, this was space that I could use for something else, but cover that later. Now, you may think that this space under here is not very big, but you'd be amazed at how much you can put into this little space right here if you just put your mind to it. And so there's 3 things that we're going to use this space for. This space right here is going to contain 2 of them. The space on the side of the refrigerator is going to contain 1 of them. So the first thing we're going to put into that space is this battery booster. Can use this to jump start a car. It's also got an air compressor built into it that you can use to inflate a flat tire with. So this is going to slide right into this space right here. And you can see it fits in there. It does not have a lot of room to spare, but it's got some. Now we've still got a little bit of space left in between the refrigerator and the glove compartment. It doesn't look like a lot of space, but we're going to use that space. And what we're going to use it for is to put a little basket here that we can store our maps in. So to do that, we're going to use the screws that are holding the refrigerator handle on. And so what we're going to do is take those screws out. You're going to do this before you chain the refrigerator down. Unlike me, I didn't think of this idea until probably after the first year of traveling in the van. Okay, so hopefully you can see, yeah, there's 5 holes that mount the handle on. I've already taken out the 3 bottom screws, but anyway, my handle is chained to the frame of the van. Yours won't be when you do it because you're going to do it first before you chain down your refrigerator. So let's go take a look at how we're going to make our basket. Okay, so what we have here is just an ordinary end basket like you might put on the outside of an office door. I think I got this at Walmart. And but this works really well to like put a road atlas in. And so the way we're going to attach it to the refrigerator, so I took a couple of pieces of metal. If you had a big enough piece of metal, you could make it out of one piece, but I didn't have a piece big enough to cut it out of, so I screwed 2 pieces together and made like this T shape, okay, and then you can see there's a place where you normally would hang it onto a wall, but I've taken a couple of screws and nuts and just hung it onto my T here. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take the handle off the refrigerator, clamp it to this piece of metal, and then you're just going to drill through the existing holes in the handle off the refrigerator to make the hole pattern for this T. Then what you do is just take the T and what you have to do is actually don't put this on until you mount the T onto the refrigerator, and then mount this piece, mount the basket onto this piece. Hope that makes sense to you. So this is what it's going to look like once you get your handle put back on. You can see I've got my T underneath the handle, and there's 5 screws in there now. Be sure you don't over tighten these screws so that you don't strip the threads. So now all we have left to do is to just take the basket and then we're simply going to get my hand out of the way where you can see. We're going to mount the basket onto the T using this hole and this hole that was already in the basket. So the finished product should look something like this. You can see I put a screw in there, a screw in there, and makes a nice little pocket to hold your maps, and especially a big road atlas like this. You may have noticed that I put some shelf liner on top of the refrigerator door. If you do that, that will keep this road atlas from sliding off of there, because more than likely you'll want to keep it open like that as you're driving, so that you can pull over and look at the map without having to find your place again. I found that some of these paper clips like this work very well about holding the place in your road atlas. When you put these screws in here and here, you're going to want to open the refrigerator door. I had to learn this the hard way. But yeah, if you'll open the refrigerator door, it makes it a lot easier to get to these screws, because it's almost impossible to reach them with the door closed. As you can see, you can't get a screwdriver on them. One other thing about the map holder is whenever you open the refrigerator door, it tends to get caught on the road atlas. So what I did is just made a little divider. This is actually part of the material that I sawed out of the back window to put the fan in. So you put this in there, and then that keeps your road atlas from falling on over and getting caught on the refrigerator door. Okay, so we got one last place where we could use some space, and that's on the back side of the refrigerator here. Had some vinyl material, and so I just cut a big rectangle and then just made a pouch like that. Got some of these high-powered neodymium magnet hooks, and so I just hooked it on there. You can't put anything very heavy in it. I'm using it to store some spare wiper blades and a couple of light meal pouches. So that's the way that you can make the use of all the space that you've got, and hopefully that'll help you out some. Next thing I want to cover is the shower. So I keep it stowed here in this side door. And it's just a solar shower. So what I've got is just a piece of vinyl for a bath mat to stand on. Obviously, if you're parked on asphalt, that may not be necessary, but you normally won't be parked on asphalt when you're going to take a shower. And then we got this mast that's just going to mount right up here. And we hang up the back water. And then obviously this valve opens, still got a little bit of water left in it, closes to take your shower. But I'm going to take you inside to show you the really neat part about this shower. And that is that you have a completely private shower enclosure once I close this sliding door on the side over here. So, if you look right here, I've got a roll of tarp. And I've got a little clevis pin here. So it's going to slide off. We're going to unroll it over to this side over here. A little bit hard to do with just one hand and hold the camera at the same time. Then once you get over here, you've got like a broom closet clip up here. And another one down here. Okay, so that clips in. And I'm going to step outside of the shower stall so you can see what it looks like on the outside. Whoops, missed the magnet closure there. Just going to take this magnet, stick it right there. This one's already stuck over here. And it's a little bit windy today. But as you can see, it's holding up to the wind just fine. And so you can imagine yourself standing behind that. Your private parts are going to be covered. Going back inside again. And so over here you've got your towel and washcloth and shampoo and soap and all that stuff. You could even fold this table up and have your clean clothes on there that you're going to put on. So, see if you can give it a shot from the inside, looking out. So, pretty much I'm pretty much covered from the neck up and from the knees down. So may not be for the person that's a little bit modest, but really, unless somebody's up in a tree or on a step ladder, there's nothing that they can see. Then obviously, to take it back down, just gonna reverse the process, roll it back up, snap it back in. Okay, we've got a couple more bathroom type items to cover. One is the notorious pea jug. I keep mine hanging here. If it's hanging, it can't turn over and spill, which is a really bad experience that I've only had one time. And you can actually buy these on Amazon, you know, just search under urinals. But this one has a screw-on cap, which should make it leak-proof, but I'm not going to trust it, so that's why I hang it here, because it can turn over. The other item that I bought but have never used is a porta potty. I think they call them a cliche toilet, maybe some other name. But anyway, you put water in it, you do your business, you slide out something. I think this is what you use to flush it with. Yeah, water goes in here. No, I've got that backwards. This is the pump that actually pumps water and cleans the toilet bowl. And then got a screw off cap here where you fill it with water. I can't really tell you how well it works. I've never used it. You know, thru hikers say you camp your fears. So maybe I had a fear of needing this in the middle of the night or something and just felt better having it than not having it. There is a place to stow it, and it actually helps to protect your stove, because you can slide it under there to keep your stove from turning over. It makes a pretty good footstool for sitting around the van with your feet propped up. But there is one drawback to it, and that is when you get ready for bed at night, everything under here has to go up here. So there is room for everything to go up there. It just gets a little busy having so much stuff stacked up here. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you how you make the bed next. You've probably been wondering where the bed is. You've been looking at it the whole time. Okay, so this is the procedure for making your bed and going to bed at night. Now, obviously, the back doors are not going to be open when you make your bed. I just had to leave the doors open so you can get a full view of what's going on. So step number one is you're going to reach back in here and pull out your sleeping bag. I've got a nice net bag that my sleeping bag came in. If it's warm weather, I use a sleeping bag liner. If it's cold weather, I've got a 15-degree down sleeping bag that I sleep in. So whichever one of those you're going to use, you get it out, set it to the side. Next step, if you choose to have a porta potty, gonna put that up there. Gonna put our stove up on top of it. And now for making the bed. Believe it or not, this is a bed. It is an REI Camp Dreamer air mattress. Has an R value of 2.7. This particular one is 25 inches wide, 78 inches long, and 4 inches thick, which makes it very, very comfortable, other than only being this wide. Now, the bad news for you is I hear REI no longer makes this particular air mattress, and so if that's true, you'll have to find something that will fit in the space that you have. This particular air mattress worked absolutely great. It's almost like it was made for this van. All right, this particular one has a one-way valve, so it swivels like this. Don't know if you can see that from there or not, but what you do is you swivel this valve around until it pops in place like that. And then we're going to unroll it. And to inflate the air mattress, got a little air pump up here. And don't know if you can see it from there or not, but if I turn this way, you can. So then I've got a cigarette lighter socket that's plugged in to the cigarette lighter socket up front. So get that all plugged up and powered up. If you wanted to inflate it from outside the van, you could also plug your air inflator into this socket on your Rock Pals battery. But I find it's just easier to do it this way, even if the van doors are closed. I'm going to let this run all the way till it's fully inflated to let you see how quickly it inflates. So get ready for a little noise. Or not. Helps if you actually plug the extension cord in. Now this should work. One of the neat things about this air mattress is you pull the hose off and the air doesn't rush back out because it's got this valve that won't let the air come back out until you want it to. So then it's got a screw-on cap. Probably can't see it from there, but screw it on like that. And then you're thinking, well, where's it going to put the thing? 2/3 of it are already sticking out the back door. And again, that's where this office chair that is just the right size makes everything work. So we're gonna roll the office chair up in there. And guess what? Just the right amount of room for our air mattress. So then we either put our sleeping bag or sleeping bag liner here. And then my pillow that I'm going to use is up here in the driver's seat. So if it's warm weather, I'll sleep with my head on this end so I can turn the fan on and get cool air on my face and upper torso if it's warm enough. If it's cold, I'll switch my head down to this end, away from where this opening is. And if it's really cold, I'll even put this Reflectix cover over the face of the fan. I've also got a 12 volt heater that doesn't put out a lot of heat, but it puts out some. Again, it plugs into the cigarette lighter socket up front. But what I found has helped to keep this part of the van warm as much as anything is this curtain that I put up right here. And it's not insulated, but it has like a magnet closure on this side. So whatever heat you produce pretty much stays here in the back compartment and doesn't go into the cab compartment. And you'd think that wouldn't be very much, but there's usually a 10-degree difference between in here in cold weather and up front in cold weather. I've actually had ice form on the inside of the windshield before because it gets that much colder in the front with this curtain in place than it does in the back. Now, so if my head's going to be down here, I can turn the main lights off there and then back on. There's a light switch right here. If it's cold weather and I'm going to be putting my head up front here, I'll show you how I manage the lights in cold weather. Okay, so if I'm going to sleep with my head up on this end, then I've got this light right here. Swivel it around. And I've got a little swivel latch right here. It's hard to close when you're trying to hold a camera at the same time. But yeah. Okay, so now it's locked in place. So now I would turn this light on. Come down here. Turn this light off. Keep that cover there because when it's pitch dark, like it is a lot of places where you park, puts out a lot of light, can keep you awake. Now, if it is really, really cold, I mean like down in the 20s or so, I've also got this 12-volt electric blanket. And so it's 12 volt. Again, it has the cigarette lighter plug-in, and then it's got a timer that you can set to be on for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So what I usually do is I put the cord end out the head end of the sleeping bag, and then put the blanket itself on top of you inside the sleeping bag, and turn it on. It'll heat up, stay on for either 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whichever you choose. That'll help you to get warm and get to sleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're cold, just hit this blue button, that'll turn it on again. And so it won't stay on all the time. That would be dangerous. But 30 to 45 minutes is not going to get you in a sweat or burn you or anything like that. And it doesn't put out a huge amount of heat. But when it's inside an insulated sleeping bag, you can really feel the difference. And I've really loved it ever since I've started using it. Don't use it very often, but when it really does get down that cold, you say just as comfortable as if you were sleeping in your bed at home. Okay, just a few more miscellaneous items I'd like to cover with you. I'd like to give you a little bit closer look at what I've done with this curtain up here. Okay, so you can see I've got magnets on this side, I've got magnets on this side, and then you can see how when you pull those together, I mean, it's not airtight, but it gives you a pretty good seal around there. And the way I mounted this is I just took a piece of electrical conduit, okay, and just use these curtain rings, and then this electrical conduit is mounted to the top of this cabinet using some conduit hangers. And it really does help hold the heat in here in the back part of the compartment really, really well. You don't lose a lot of heat to the front. And while I've got this open, we'll cover the next thing, which is a little shoe hanger here. It's just hung around the head restraint up there. Piece of PVC pipe through the rope. And then these are actually these are actually the hangers that came with the shoe holders. Okay, these hangers normally hang over the top of a door, closet door, but you just bend them in a little bit and they'll clip right onto this PVC pipe. I've got two pairs of boots, because one of these pairs of boots is getting some miles on them, but you can hang any kind of shoe up there that has a lace in it. Okay, next item is this little, I'm going to call it a cable retractor. It's got like 4 different types of connectors on this end that you can use to recharge stuff with. So the way it works is you just grab both ends, pull it apart, and then it stays whatever length that you want it to be. To make it short again, just pull both ends till it clicks, lay it back together, and you know, it's a good way to keep all your charging cables from getting tangled up with each other, and they do retract into a pretty small amount of space that you can stow pretty easily. Okay, next item is this bear canister. And it's a long, skinny one. It's called a grub can. I like the shape of it because, you know, you can keep it right up next to your back, and it's going to keep the weight of this canister right on your spine, or right lined up with your spine, so that your pack doesn't tilt over to one side, depending on which side it wants to shift to, because you can pack stuff in around the canister to hold it upright. But the $64,000 question is, where am I going to carry something like this? Well, actually, we're going to carry two things at one time, because the sunscreens for your windshield and windows really come in handy too. And I got these from WeatherTech. They fit like a glove. Couldn't ask them to fit any better. So what we're going to do is going to put our bear canister inside. Now, we need to take a look at this. Now, I've got a piece of paracord coming out the top. You'll see why in a couple minutes. I'm going to leave that sticking out. So, just going to roll my grub can up inside there. Which helps protect the sunscreen as well. And then we just Velcro it closed. And then here's where we're going to stow it. It's right up there. I believe that's got it in the right place. Yeah. So we're going to take this and we're going to lead with the paracord. And then we're just going to slide it up in there as far as it will go. Alright, so then you pull your paracord out, and I tie mine off to the handhold that in this van is located up here at the top of this door. Make sure you know the kind of knot that you're tying, because this is all that's going to keep this thing from flying out and clobbering you in the head when you go around a curve. So very, very important Get you tied in a knot that you know you can count on. It's going to tighten on itself. And then always check, give it a good so you will not slip. So, let me double check my knot. Let's just pull that back up. Still got quite a lot of slack in it there. Didn't come untied again. I just had too much slack in the knot. But if it takes tying it 10 times to get it right, tie it 10 times. Okay, that's holding now. And then we're just going to take the side window shields and slide them right up in there beside them. Okay, I suppose we're coming down the home stretch now. Got just a few more things to show you, but hopefully it'll be things that will be of value to you. One thing is this coat hanger. And I use this even when I'm not traveling. So what I've got is just a piece of wire that's screwed in on the other side. So I've got a hook here for my rain parka, another hook here for my down jacket. And so I never even take these two jackets indoors because I'm not going to wear them indoors, but if I leave them hanging up here, then I know they're always going to be there when I need them. Okay, so moving on over to the driver's seat. Yeah, let's cover this seat cover next. And I discovered this just last year, I believe it was. And so what this is a 12-volt vibrating massage seat cover. And it has little vibrating motors like here, 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 here. Now, these down here don't help me a bit. So what I have done is just fold this part back up under my back, because I've got a bad back, and that's why I got this thing to start with. It's 12 volt. Just plugs into your cigarette lighter plug there. And here's the on button. You can choose these different places that it's going to give you the massage. You can also turn on heat. You can also adjust the frequency of the vibration to make it do just about anything you want to. Next, we're going to talk about some additional food storage. And I had room to mount one more food storage box up here. Don't even remember for sure what I've got in it. Yeah, looks like more broccoli cheddar rice and mashed potato, instant mashed potatoes. So you always want to be looking for a place that you can use and not waste. So it takes two hands to close that back up, so I'll close it later. Another place that I store some food is, see if I can back out a little bit, give you a little bit better perspective of what you're looking at. So we're coming into the passenger compartment, driver's seat side. So up here, it's like this overhead storage compartment. And so, you know, rather than not put anything in it, what I have done is I keep canned chicken and ham up there. Okay, so this is some canned chicken, and so you have to put it in this way, rotate it over on its side that way, so that it can't get back out on top of you. So to take them out, just rotate that way, bring it out. You can see I've already been taking some out already. And then when we get those out, then we've got room to get some ham out. So what I've done with the ham, we're just gonna now I've made these bags out of tarp material. So in here just got these cans of ham stowed, and so I can get probably about 30 cans of ham up there, and probably 24 cans of chicken. Again, just another way to use the space to your advantage. This is my trash can. Most people would say it's a cereal canister, but it's just the right size to fit into that space I have right there. It even has a lid that I can close. Up here I've got a Rubbermaid container, and I keep pens and paper and things up there that I don't want floating all over the van. A lot of times I put my nail clippers up in there because I have a habit of losing my nail clippers. And so this is my last resort place. If I look everywhere else and can't find something, I'll look in there, and a lot of times it's there. Okay, next thing we're going to cover is how to go from camping mode to driving mode. So what we're going to do is take these bungee cords and wrap them around the armrest of the chair. So that secures the chair, keeps it from rolling around the van. Now we've got our pillow up here in the front seat. So we're going to bring it back here, stow it in the chair like that. Alright, so that's all ready to go. So we'll close the door. And then the next thing we would do to get ready to drive, put the seat back where it was when we got out of it the night before. Okay, just a few more miscellaneous things to cover. And one is some additional water storage. So I buy these Fuji water because it comes in a square bottle and it fits right in that compartment right there very easily. I always keep the bottles and refill them. I never buy Fuji water except to get the bottles. So we got 3 bottles there. And of course we've also got 3 bottles on this side. Even inside this sliding door here, got a couple of gallons of water here that have never even been opened. They're at least 4 years old, but it's better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. And here's another look at sleeping bag and electric blanket. Everything fits nice and tight. Okay, and then the real brain of this whole van, or at least the electrical part of it, is this Renogy charge controller. Now, this is 2020 technology. That's when I bought it. Here's my fuse box here. Everything is mounted to a wooden panel so that it will be insulated. But anyway, it's quite an amazing little piece of equipment here because this controls the charge going to your batteries. It keeps them from getting overcharged or anything else like that. They can't really be undercharged because you can run lithium-ion batteries down to 0 and it won't hurt them. Now, I think I've already told you the batteries themselves are temperature protected, but this charge controller, you can charge your house batteries using the alternator on your car, using the solar panels, using both at one time. And if your car battery is getting low on charge, if you have a surplus of charge that your solar panels are producing, then this charge controller will actually reverse itself and charge your car battery for you, even though your car's not even running. All right, and last but not least, and you may notice that I'm not really covering anything about how to install the electrical system, because that's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own based on what type of equipment you get. I can't really tell you how to do that. Just follow the manufacturer's instructions. But what I can show you is how I mounted my solar panel. So you can look up here and you can see I've got 4 solar panels. They're each 100 watts each. The problem I had though was, number one, I did not want to make any new holes in the roof of my van or anywhere else in my van that I didn't have to. And so what I wanted to do was use the luggage rack mounts to mount my solar panels with, but the screw holes for the luggage rack mounts are way out here. The edge of the solar panel is way over here. So the solar panel couldn't reach out to where it needed to be in order to use these holes. By the way, there was no luggage rack that came with this particular van. But even if it had a luggage rack, I'm not sure I could have mounted the solar panels to the luggage rack. I'm not even sure I would have wanted to. But anyway, what I came up with, I probably should say what God came up with, because I would have never thought of this on my own, was these 3 blocks of plastic. And the place where I got these 3 blocks of plastic, they're just cutting boards. So I got about 3 plastic cutting boards, and I just sawed them up into different size rectangles. You can see this bottom one matches what the luggage rack size would have been. And then there's a rubber gasket between that block of plastic and the roof of the van itself. Then you come on up to the next stair step, and there's another block that reaches out a little bit farther. And then the third stair step, if you look underneath there, you'll see that it comes all the way out to here. If you look down inside that pipe, you'll see the actual, hopefully you can see it if I can get the camera to focus on it, but you'll see there's a bolt going up through the center of that, and there's the head of the screw. There is a lock nut. There's a lock nut on the other end of this screw going into the bottom of the edge of this solar panel, and that's what's holding the solar panel to this piece of pipe. So what that did for me was it allowed me to reach out and get under the end of the solar panels because they wouldn't reach over this far. The other thing it did for me is, because you got these 3 blocks stacked up on top of each other, they act kind of like a leaf spring, because this plastic will bend a little bit. And so these plastic pieces act like shock absorbers, so that you don't have so much vibration transmitted to your solar panels themselves. Obviously, if I can show you this without falling off the back bumper here. Did the same exact thing on this side. Okay, same exact way. All right, and then, so now I'll get down off the back bumper and show you the very last thing, which is going to be the fan. So I believe this is the very last thing that I've got to show you. Most people install these fans up on top of the roof, but if I'd done that, I would not have had room for 400 watts of solar panels. I only had room for 3 solar panels. So I wasn't crazy about cutting a hole in the roof of my van anyway. But I knew if I made a mistake cutting a hole in this back window panel, this is just a piece of fiberglass, okay? So if I messed that up, I knew I could probably order another window panel for this back door and start over. But if I made a mistake putting a hole in this roof, once you cut a hole in your roof, there's really no coming back. And I don't know what anybody would do if they ever did that. But Lord help them if they did. So anyway, that's why I decided to put this fan in this back window. It doesn't give you quite as much ventilation as through the roof, but if you arrange where you're seated just right, you can make it work for you. And so I just ran the wires up through here, and you can go through this hole here, bring them out through this piece of conduit through here, and then that supplies electricity to it. It's a fantastic fan. That's the brand name. Has 3 speeds, and it also has a thermostatic control, although I almost never use it because when I need it, I really need it. If it's warm enough that I don't need it, then I won't even turn it on to start with. So I believe that is everything I needed to tell you. Maybe I need to cover this voltmeter. And I hope you can see it from there. But so it tells you the percentage of your batteries that you have left, the number of amp hours that you have left, what the charge voltage is that your battery is putting out, how many amps are being drawn. And the reason we're drawing any right now is because I've got these overhead lights turned on, and they're drawing 11 watts, which, to put that in perspective, the refrigerator was drawing 13 watts the other day when I showed you that. So I have never run out of electricity. I've never even been close to running out. So I hope that I've remembered everything that I wanted to tell you. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer your questions as best I can. So I hope that this has helped you, number one, to decide if you even want to build a camper van. And I hope that if you're a believer, that you will consider putting this sign on the back of your van too, so that you can let people know as you drive down the road that if they don't know Jesus, then they really don't know what true peace is. So I hope that this whole thing has helped you out in some way. I know your time is valuable, so I hope this video has added some value to your time. And as usual, God bless you all for watching, and vaya con Dios.